I did not know what was happening. And I just had to keep trusting that, the path I was on was the right path, because why would I enter into a business that would, in my opinion, determine whether someone lives or dies, at that time?
What you're doing currently is quite impressive. I didn't realize that it was this extensive initially.
We started as a typical logistics company, and then we transitioned.
For those who may be coming across you for the first time, before we delve into the real story behind the titles, the letters before your name, I have three questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is your name and the current focus of something that you're working on that excites you and why that focus.
Okay, my name is Vanessa Omari. I'm from Ghana. I originally stayed in Ghana for some time, for about 15 years, and then I moved to the UK, studied, and then came back to Ghana to work on what I'm currently working on now. Now, I think what I'm working on now is directly related with what I am also interested in, because prior to me starting VDL, I didn't know that solving problems was actually something that would excite me. And solving problems in logistics would make me want to come to work every day. Right. And so this is something that I think I would love to do for a very long time. I don't know how long, but I know that this is something that excites me currently. Solving problems in the logistics space and helping e-commerce grow in Africa. That's something I'm very passionate about.
Why are you passionate about that? Because of all the things in the world that one could be passionate about, logistics doesn't, rank as something
The
at
top.
the top of that list, right?
Yeah. So I think what really drove my interest into the field was my experience from ordering things, and coming from a background where I used to order almost everything from Amazon and from other platforms. It was something that became part of me. I would even stop going to shops. I would just order things online, and then everything will be delivered seamlessly to me. Now I'm relocating to Ghana, helped me to understand that even though it was working very perfectly where I was, it doesn't mean that it was working the same way in Ghana. And so my experience in Ghana was totally the opposite. Now when I order for something, I have to go through different social media pages, scroll through different pages to find what I want. After finding it, I'll realize that the product is not even in stock and my size is not available. And so having these multiple experiences and then also experiencing bad services with logistics made me want to do something about it. And someone wise once said that something that makes you uncomfortable or something that makes you angry is something that definitely you should think about solving a problem around. Because if it can make you that annoyed to be able to do something about it, then it means that you're on the right path, because you would have enough passion to be able to make sure that the problems in that field are solved. And so that's where the passion is coming from.
What does VDL stand for?
So there are acronyms for my husband and I's names. So Vanessa
Oh,
and Eric.
VDL, for those who might not be familiar with what it represents or what it does, how would you explain that to perhaps maybe my 14-year-old niece?
We are basically an operational arm of any e-commerce business. So if you have a shop and you want to sell across different markets, or you want to expand into Ghana, let's say you started your shop in the US and now you want to start reaching out to businesses in Ghana, you don't have to rent a space, employ people, get people to be on the ground to be able to execute your work. What you have to do is you need to send your products to us. We will store them for you. Anything else you want to make sure the products are delivered, we would handle it for you and make sure the payment is received and sent back to you. We help different businesses across multiple countries and regions to sell across Ghana. That's our current focus. Our market focus is Ghana. And so now we are helping different businesses across any country, any region to sell across Ghana. And our technology helps us to be able to execute this seamlessly so that you can be in any country and track what is going on in Ghana.
Interesting. We'll come back to that. The
Yeah.
second question is one fact that stands out. Maybe it's an intriguing or memorable fact about yourself that highlights your creativity or experience, either in personal life or, as a business owner or entrepreneur.
I'm actually naturally a creative. So I sing, I paint, I also do makeup. I have done a business in food as well. And so a lot of the things that I am doing now are because I have that experience and I have that drive to be able to see something come to life. I have that drive to see something that did not exist come to life. And just like a painting, before the painting is actually completed, there's nothing on the canvas. And so you need to think about how you are going to start from the idea phase into what you finally have. And that is what I'm currently doing at VDL. Solving problems every day and doing something that does not have a blueprint in Africa means that you are doing something from a clean slate. And so now you have to develop and think about how you are going to see that vision come to life from nothing. And it's definitely related.
Interesting. So, for somebody who is working without like you said, a blueprint or established framework, where do you draw your inspiration from? I can imagine that there's situations where you're encountering an issue or a problem for the first time. And if you don't have a blueprint or a framework, how do you go about resolving or moving forward or determining how you want to move in a situation like that?
The answer is very straightforward, and I would pick something from the Bible, right? There's nothing new under the sun.
Hmm.
And so whatever you're trying to do has been done before. And even though there's no blueprint in Africa, there's a blueprint in other countries. The only difference is you need to make sure it's tailored to the market and it actually works here. With everything we are doing, we make sure we use data to inform the decisions we actually make. And we actually go ahead to do research as well to make sure that whatever we are doing is in line with industry standards. Even though there's nothing in Africa now, we would pick from different organizations and different structures to be able to execute that where we are.
Essentially, providing context, your context, and applying that to existing frameworks or blueprints, and using that to at least give you some sense of direction as to how you want to move forward.
Yeah.
The third question, based on what you shared so far, the fact that you came about VDL from a point of maybe frustration and a need to address a problem, you see yourself as a creative. How has that in some way impacted the way you approach what I will call last mile delivery? And I'm sure that's a term that you are familiar with, right, in the industry. How does that play out in the way that you deliver your services? Because there's so many. Just think about when you go to the market, if you go to Makola, if you go to the popular grocery chain in Accra, maybe Malcolm, right?
Yeah.
When you go to the water aisle, there are so many brands of water or
Yeah.
even salt, right? But there is
Mhm.
something that draws you to a particular brand. How does VDL distinguish itself from other businesses?
We don't see ourselves competing with other logistics companies. We rather see ourselves as partners because we cannot do our work without delivery partners. And where we sit, we actually build more of a network effect. So we build our business through partnerships. What really helps us to be able to execute the work we are doing is the fact that we have access to over 300 delivery agents and companies across Ghana. And these companies are helping us to all execute the same purpose and vision, which is to
Mhm.
see businesses or to see orders being fulfilled across Ghana, right? And so, what really sets us apart in this field is we are able to determine a flat delivery rate, which is not very common in Ghana and is not very common in Africa, where you can determine that this price for a delivery fee. So you can decide that, okay, delivery fee for this area in Ghana is going to be one amount. So currently we charge a 40 cedis for deliveries in Accra. And then we can also determine that in other regions, we are charging a 60 cedis for maybe somewhere like a Kumasi or a Takoradi. That is not very common. And so businesses like the fact that we are very transparent about our pricing. It doesn't fluctuate based on the industry and what is happening with pricing and inflation and things like that. And so that is one of the ways that we've been able to set ourselves apart. Another thing we do very well is that we offer businesses the option to offer their customers payment on delivery. And so if you are familiar with ordering things in Ghana, people do not really trust that they will receive an item that has been bought online, especially if they don't know the brand they are buying from. And so we come in as that partner to help say that, okay, we would help you to deliver your item to Takoradi, or we would help you to deliver your item to Bolgatanga. And we would wait until the item is delivered to get our money and to also get you your money. And so that selling point has really helped us to be able to reach people in very remote areas who do not even ideally order for things because they don't know who they are ordering from. They've never heard of the person. They just see an advert that says, oh, this product is on sale. Put your details here. They'll reach out to you for delivery. We are reaching people in very remote and minute areas that are able to place orders and receive them with the idea that they would receive it and pay for it. They wouldn't pay online before receiving it. And so this really helps us to also reach quite a wide network of people.
If you're doing pay on delivery, I guess that's
Yeah,
what it is, right? In the event that that item is not delivered,
yeah.
who is going to bear that loss?
Yes, because of how we are working with our partners, there isn't much of a loss because we send items in bulk to different regions and to different people, right? And so if we confirm the order initially and the customer does not answer at the end of the day, we would end up receiving the parcel back. The only loss we make is with the communication because initially we spoke to the customer confirmed, we packaged the order and sent it out. But then the sending out part is not being done by us. And so we have agreements with the partners we are working with to ensure that all these parcels that go out and have to come back, we have an arrangement with them that allows us to not really make a loss on those parcels.
So, I'm an e commerce business. My
Yeah.
customer comes online and purchases uh, maybe 2 dozen brooches. How does VDL come in, or when does VDL come in, and what role do they play? Because at this point now, that order has come through, and I'm just going by how my understanding of fulfillment,
Yeah.
especially like with print on demand. I don't know if
Yeah.
you're familiar with that model. Yeah. So what happens is it comes to the website, you're notified as a vendor, and then they fulfill it, and they send you an email telling you when it was sent out, and you can
Yeah.
track delivery. So how would your process work if I bought 2 dozen brooches from your website? Where does VDL come in?
Once the order is placed on the website, we have APIs with the different people we are working with. So if it's your website,
So
we
let
would
me let
have,
me let me stop you for a minute because
okay.
not all of us are technical. API. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so basically whatever comes on your website also comes to us in simple terms.
So you're notified.
So we receive the order, even though it came on your website, we will receive the order. And then once the order comes to us, our team would confirm the order by calling the customer because in Ghana you have to call everyone. Where we send SMSs are the people that have already made payments for their orders. So in those cases, we notify them via SMS or email.
Mhm.
And then the people that have to go by payment on delivery, we have to call them and find out whether they are available for delivery and whether they are even interested in buying the product. And so from there, The inventory team will now package the order and then send it out to the customer. That is where VDL comes in. So the moment the order is placed, we receive it, we package it, we send it to the customer, we receive the payment, and then we remit it back to you, depending on how you want to receive the payment.
Interesting. So, if it is the case that VDL is notified once the order goes through, with the pay on delivery option, is it set up on the website for the person to indicate that they will pay on delivery?
There are two options. They can either say that they are only taking payments online, or they can say they are taking payments online and also doing payments on delivery. So once you choose the payment on delivery option, we will know how to go about it. We'll call the customer, we'll confirm when they are available, we'll send out a rider. The rider will use an app, go to the customer's location. If it is payment on delivery, the customer will receive the item. The rider would now confirm that the item has been delivered and then can issue a prompt to the customer to make the payment. And then the money is received and it's remitted back to the businesses we are working with.
So the money is paid into the VDL
BDL.
business account and then you remit to your customers who are the
Yes.
business owners.
Yes.
With the way it's set up with VDL, are you also handling warehousing? Because I know that even with the
Yeah.
well-known logistics companies of the world, warehousing has become a big component, especially with what we saw beginning in 2020. It just made sense and it made it easier and more seamless an operation, right? So
Mm,
let's say it is a skincare
yeah.
brand, right? That wants to work with VDL and they want a situation where you are. I don't know if you do any, if you have a model where or an option where you warehouse and VDL delivers, or do all your customers have to warehouse their inventory with you because it makes it easier, quicker, seamless, is one less step. So going back to my example of the skincare brand that has branding material, be it their branded tissue, their packaging, inserts, is that all provided to you? And then you have a team that fulfills the orders according to their spec.
Yes. So we provide warehousing.
Mm.
We have a warehouse that is not too far from where our main office location is. And so every operation is done there. And we do the packaging. We do if there are different elements that are supposed to go into an order, we do that as well. And then we also do gift wrapping.
So if you are then working with multiple businesses, how do you ensure that whoever is fulfilling the order is complying with the customer's requirements? Because there's a way that every brand wants to show up,
Mm,
maybe in the way
yeah.
that you
So
arrange the items.
yeah, so it was one of the things that we really took into consideration when we were starting because everyone wants to make sure that the quality of the packaging phase and the delivery phase is handled very well, especially because a lot of the times in Ghana people customize products a lot, and so they want to have control over whatever has been packaged so that if it doesn't go well they can be held responsible for that. And so what we do is from the order stage, the businesses are able to add comments if they want things to be done a certain way. Now, after that, we are also able to see a breakdown of the entire order. So, if in this order it has five different things, you are supposed to also include a certain package and whatnot into it. Everything will be stated in the order. Now, the packaging team also have a page that works like when you enter into a restaurant, what is entered into the system when you place your order. They are able to see the breakdown of your entire order and they know what exactly is supposed to go into the order. And so the team also has a page like this, which we built internally, by the way. So everything I'm talking about on our system has been built by us internally. And so we have a page like that. The packaging team logs on that page. they scan the products that are meant to go into that order, and then they also scan the label of the package that is supposed to be associated with the products that are being placed in the package. And so once these two are scanned, we know that the right items have been placed into the package for this order. And then the label is stuck on it. And so once that is done, we are sure that definitely whatever is meant to go into that order has gone into it. And we can see who packaged it and what time it was packaged as well. And then from there, it is handed over to our team that handles the riders and the management of the riders so that it can be handed over to them.
Does your business model, the way it currently functions, incorporate print on demand components? Let's say it's a t-shirt company. They
Yeah.
provide you with the art. When an order comes in, they have indicated from the stock t-shirts that you offer that this is the shirt that they want that particular design to be printed on.
No, we don't do that at the moment.
What you're doing currently is quite impressive. I didn't realize that it was this extensive. It seemed to me that it was just pretty much engaging the services of last mile delivery
Mm,
drivers or
yeah.
services. So has it always been not only delivery but also warehousing, or warehousing was something that was added on over time when you came to better understand the needs of your clients?
Yes, we started as a typical logistics company, and then we transitioned into the fulfillment model right around 2022, the beginning of 2022. That was when we started everything all over again. And where I mean start everything all over again, we informed all our customers that we were no longer working with the previous operational model and we had revised everything and we're working with a new system altogether. And so we started doing a new marketing campaign to push what we were actually driving this time. So now we had to reach out to all our customers, find out who was actually interested in the fulfillment model, and work with a few that were interested. And we grew it from there to where we currently are. Currently, we are a team of, I think, 61 the last time we checked. We are processing over 10,000 orders a month.
Is this a 24/7 or you have fixed hours of
Eh,
operation?
I mean, 24/7 very soon, but for now, we have fixed hours.
So, in the time that you've transitioned from your old model to the current model of operations, what will you say is different? Or what are some lessons that you have learned from the previous experience that have helped you in this second iteration?
Okay, so I think that being introduced into the logistics space, firstly, helped me to understand a whole load of things that have influenced how we are currently running operations. If I had just entered into fulfillment without knowing what exactly the industry required, it wouldn't have been as easy as it has been for me since the transition. So I think that definitely things like even who to reach out to for what, the delivery companies in the space, and the network we currently have, how we are making decisions on pricing, how we are reaching out to businesses, all these things were from the point of us already being in the space and knowing how things were run from the logistics point of view.
Hmm. How much of a part has fear played in your growth as a business owner, as an entrepreneur?
I think it's more to do with today you have to also decide how you are going to do things tomorrow and you
Hmm.
don't know how it's going to pan out. For me, I think that even though there's still some form of fear of failure or fear of the unknown, I still have that confidence that things will still work out. And I say I have that confidence because of where I'm coming from in terms of my spirituality and my belief in God and my religious background, or just me being a Christian basically. And so that has really given me a foundation to be able to know that I'm on the right path, and I keep getting assurance and to know basically that I'm going to still persevere and make sure that things are still going to work out. Even though as a human being, there will be fear and everything. I still have faith in what I'm doing and what the path I know I'm on, basically.
So, can you think of a time where fear was real, but you still pushed past it?
There are different situations. So one of the things that I would say really helped me to understand things was the fact that, well, firstly, before I even go into it, I'll say that before you enter into any business, you need to make sure that you understand all the regulatory requirements that are necessary for that field. And so I learned the hard way. I've gone through my fair share of different scenarios. One of them would be even to do with just riders and them having been injured on the road and things like that. So what happens is they'll pick up a parcel, they'll go out to deliver. A few minutes later, they'll call you that they are under a truck, or they'll call you that they've been admitted into the hospital. And in those situations, you're like, okay, do I have the right insurance to be able to cover for the rider and the incident that happened? If you do, is the insurance company going to cover for the costs, or they are going to ask you for things that would require that you would end up paying more money to be able to pay off the debts? In those situations, definitely it was like a period where I did not know what was happening. And I just had to keep trusting that, the path I was on was the right path, because why would I enter into a business that would, in my opinion, determine whether someone lives or dies, at that time? And so it was something that I had to really grow out of, because it was something that made me very scared at the time.
I'm sure you've heard this bandied around the term mentor, sponsor, but let's stick with mentors. Do you see any value in that as a business owner? And how would you typically go about identifying who would be a good mentor?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it plays a very major role, because, like I said, nothing you're trying to do has not been done before. Like, everything has been done before. And so, even though perhaps the people in your network may not necessarily have experience in your field, they would have experience in different fields that would still help you achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. I'll give an example of my mom and my husband. They have been very huge contributors into the kind of person I'm even becoming, because they've been on this path before. And so anything I need, any direction I need, I can go back and ask, how did you execute this process? Or how can I do this to be able to execute what I'm trying to do? And so these kinds of people and mentors definitely would help you avoid mistakes that people have made already, so you don't have to go through the same experience to also learn from them.
So you mentioned your mother and your husband. Are they in? Have they were they prior in the business prior to this, or they were in a different area or sector?
Or they are in different areas and sectors, but they've contributed majorly into what I'm doing.
Hmm. So it's amazing how sometimes when you think mentor, people are thinking it has to be a total stranger. But
Yeah,
what I'm gathering from you is that sometimes you have those mentors within your inner circle, or sometimes
yeah,
it's somebody on YouTube, right? Because there's so
yeah,
many resources. So it's amazing what technology makes possible in the
yeah,
21st century in terms of access to information. And maybe it might not give you the answers, but it might give you enough information to know the questions to ask. That's
yeah,
what I'm taking away from this. This is
yeah.
amazing. What is it that excites you about VDL's future? And I know that you said currently operations are in Ghana. Any prospects or any plans to expand to other parts of the continent?
Yeah, so I think one of the major things that I'm excited about is really just seeing e-commerce grow in Africa, being powered by VDL. And I say this because the technology we've built allows us to be able to do business basically anywhere in the world. And so we are looking to leverage on it to license to other companies, and then also be able to set up operations in multiple countries based on how we are currently running operations here. Currently, we are looking to enter into two other African markets by the end of next year. And so the future is is bright, and we are looking forward to really making impact in Africa by supporting with the growth of e-commerce.
Wonderful. For me, as a business owner, when I think about fulfillment and warehousing, I think of the pain point for the business owner, which is that it frees up time,
Yeah,
space, resources. You're not tied to any one physical location because all you need is a computer with a good internet connection where you can
yeah,
track your orders. I can see the value that VDL is providing, especially on the continent where I don't know what the numbers are in terms of the number of small to medium sized enterprises that can benefit from a model such as this. And,
mm,
like you said, um, starting off in Ghana has provided you a lot of lessons, right? For especially for the African market, and then it's now left to scale, right?
mm,
And I'm sure there are things that will be peculiar to certain markets, even within the continent, that one
yeah.
will probably come across or have to deal with. I'm going to do this rapid fire. I'll ask and you get to choose one or the other. But before we do that, actually, you mentioned creativity. Remember, I said I was going to come back to that.
Yeah.
So when you think of yourself as a creative, why so? I know you said you paint, correct? I think you said you also cook. I don't know if it's something you're currently doing, but you mentioned something about running a cooking business.
Yeah.
So what is that? Or what
So
was that?
that was back in university when I was just trying to make something on the side, and I identified a need where I was, and so I started to make, I think it was jollof at the time, and then I used to sell it to people. So yeah, that was an interesting time.
Is this something you're currently doing or will continue doing or pick up?
No, I mean, it's something I want to do, but thinking about the complexities and logistics alone, I'm like, maybe it will be for someone else. Maybe I'll just support someone else to do it. What I am doing on the side is beauty. I've started a beauty line. I currently have a salon that is operational in Kumasi. So makeup, hair, nails, things like that. But I have people who work in that space, and I've built solutions that are working in that space. And also, I mentioned I sing as well. So yeah,
So you
I play
sing
instruments.
where? You sing
I
where?
play instruments. I play instruments as well.
So where do you sing and where do you play instruments so that I can actually maybe one of these days
Oh,
I'll
in
come to one of
church.
your
In
performances.
church.
Oh, so your church is in Accra.
Yes.
Do you think that these other interests in some way um, make you a better decision maker as a business owner, or what does it have any kind of impact, or can you put some
Hmm.
kind of value to having these other interests and how that kind of ties in with what you do as a business owner?
Okay, so I would use one of the solutions that we came up with, or I came up with, from just creativity and trying to think around how to solve a problem. There was a situation about us deciding on whether handling calls or calling customers was better than sending SMSs. And so when we were transitioning into the fulfillment model, one of the things we thought would help us to be able to deliver items was if we send a confirmation to a customer to tell the customer that the order is being delivered within this period. Let us know if you're available or something like that. And so we started by sending SMSs. That blew up in our faces because out of about 200 SMSs we would send, only about a three or a four would respond and actually be interested in the product. And so we also try sending out items and sending the SMSs, and only about maybe a 10 or a 15 will be delivered. The rest of them will be sent back. We had to really think about how we were going to make sure things were being delivered, and also be able to make sure that the customer is well informed about the entire process. So now the next phase was to try out handling calls. If you are not someone who handles things like this on a normal day, being asked to create things from scratch, like I said earlier, it's not something you'll be very excited with. I was very excited. I was just trying different things, checking out the numbers, checking to see if the solution works, coming up with a message that I think people would be interested in and things like that. And at the end of the day, the solution that worked was that we would call the customer. But even with calling the customer, we had to determine that now we would need a call center to be able to do that, and we cannot execute it without a call center. Then we start reaching out to call centers to find out pricing. They tell us their pricing. We're like, okay, it's too high. Let's come up with our own call center. We start coming up with scripts. We start coming up with what they need to be able to execute that. And then we get that done. Something like that, I would say, has really translated into how we are currently running operations, because everything is being done from nothing, and we are expected to do something beautiful out of it. And so, yeah, innovation, creativity is all part of what we are doing.
I think what I'm getting from this is you said you had run a business as a makeup artist.
Yeah,
You had provided a food service.
yes.
Um, and yeah, you said you play instruments and you also sing. And I see in all of that, the common thread is front facing customer interaction, right?
Mm.
So you might
So
be offering,
I missed out one important thing about the example I gave.
okay.
Sorry. Aside us doing the calls, now we are trying to think about how can we include AI, or how can we include technology in this process so that we can reduce the amount of calls we are doing.
Mhm.
Now, just about anyone cannot come up with that solution. And even if you are coming up with a solution, how to execute it is another thing, because you are thinking about it in one way, but as you're trying it, you're like, okay, let's test it by sending out automated calls. Even though we may not start with AI, we can start from somewhere. So we start by sending people automated calls with one message, and then that call goes out. And then the person either responds or says, I'm not interested in the product. And so some of these things heavily rely on creativity. Yeah, you were saying something about customer facing.
Yes. So to your point, and even with the AI component, there's always that human element that you want to make sure is not lost in all of this. As much as
Yeah.
we want to have a more efficient, seamless operation with makeup, I don't know that you can outsource that to AI, because there are certain conversations you're having with your clients while you're doing their face or doing
Mm.
their hair. I don't know that AI can replicate.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it can determine your skin tone, what you need.
But that's different. It's different from, well, the AI, whatever, is it a, machine do your makeup and be having the conversation? Okay, walk
It's
me through that.
possible. I mean, there are robots that interact with people all the time. So you ask it a question, it's been programmed to find an answer from the internet or something, and then give back to you. And so you would be able to have a good conversation with a robot.
Okay,
And
so
I'll
even in even in your experience as a makeup artist, right?
yeah,
How will that robot, for example, you're lining their eyes, right, their
yeah.
waterline, and maybe they start tearing up.
Mm-hmm.
How would it now recognize that? Oh, this is a, what do I do? I say, oh, hold up, let me get you, let me get
Yeah,
what do you call it?
a tissue or something. Yeah,
Yes.
it will be programmed. So if it sees that there's a tear lining up, and it will even be able to determine it faster than a human being would. So it will
Okay.
see it will see the tear coming up,
All
and
right.
then in the programming, it would know that you are supposed to pick a tissue when these situations happen. So it would quickly pick up the tissue and give it to you just in time for
No,
the
don't
tear
give
to.
it to me. No, because as a makeup artist, you won't give it to
Yes,
me.
yes,
You will know
please.
how to dab and what areas to dab. I just feel that there's certain things that about the human experience that no machine
Yeah,
can replicate.
definitely,
Yes,
definitely.
yes.
Yeah,
You have the makeup business in Kumasi. So
yeah.
is it one where you've provided them the blueprint and they pretty much follow your process of doing things since you're not actively involved in the business?
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's more like a hair salon. So it's not
Oh,
a
I
makeup.
see. I
I've not
see.
added the makeup element into it. So because of the time factor and me having to train the people and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
I've limited it to just supporting with hairstyling
I
and
see.
the normal services that salons offer. And
I
then
see.
once I get enough time to be able to train, I can go back and then start something off there. Because I was doing something to do with creative makeup. So it wasn't just about doing normal makeup for people to go out. It was also about doing something creative. So even with eyeshadow, I had different pigments I was using for different types of, eyeshadows to be able to train people on how to do creative makeup for different reasons and purposes.
I think that's very relatable for a lot of creatives. You have 10,001 ideas going through your head, and you have to at some point say, okay, this is what we're going to focus on right now. Uh,
Yeah,
but you can draw from all these different experiences as far as leveraging all of that to make whatever it is you're currently working on or focused on to
yeah,
be the best that it can possibly be. But the
yeah,
challenge is just trying to zero in on, okay, these are the one or two things we're going to focus on at this point in time, because
exactly.
otherwise you stretch yourself thin. I've learned a lot, from painting on canvas to makeup to cooking to what else did I singing and playing instruments. I can see how all those different experiences will be of benefit to you in your present role. So
Mm,
as we round up, this is the rapid fire round. You get to pick one or the other. So
okay,
painting or cooking.
that's a tough one. Wow.
I didn't think
I
it would
think,
be tough.
I think I'll do cooking because cooking takes less time.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see.
Yeah,
Uh, tea or coffee? That should be easier.
coffee.
Why coffee?
I don't drink both of them as frequently, but I think when I'm given the option, I always choose coffee. I don't know why.
All right. Invest in training your existing employees or invest in more, well, delivery bikes. If you, even though you say you outsource that.
Invest in training our current employees.
Why so?
I think that the company grows with its people. I mean, you can't always extend hands to external people to come and make a difference where you are. You always need to make sure that your team is built well enough to be able to support where you are going and the kind of growth you're anticipating. And so definitely investing into the team is something that is very critical and important.
And there's something I was listening to or that got me thinking succession planning in business. And I
Mm,
started thinking about, remember when I mentioned not too long ago about what warehousing and logistics does for a business owner, especially for an e-commerce brand, is that
yeah,
it frees you up so that you're not tied to any particular location. You don't have to be physically present for you to conduct business, right?
yeah,
And I think that comes from, to your point, when you invest in your people
mm,
so that they now can replicate what it is that you have laid out as the blueprint or the framework. And that kind of
yes,
also ties into succession planning in the event that you decide you want to take a back seat or you want to
yeah,
hand it over to somebody else to manage. You've set the proper foundation
yes.
for success. So that's what got, I just got thinking about that when
Mm.
you talked about investing in your people.
Yeah, and the systems as well. No one can follow something that they don't have laid out. And so, as always, you have to always make sure that the systems are set. Everyone knows exactly what their role is. There were times when roles were not properly defined and expectations were set, but people were not meeting the expectations. And so now you have to come back to the drawing board and know what is really missing in this whole situation. They don't know what is expected of them. So now we have to come up with position statements and KPI documentation that will help everyone to know. exactly what is required of them and what their deliverables are for every role. And even aside that, setting standard operating procedures, making sure that everyone adheres to these procedures and they are the right channels that have been set to make sure that the processes are followed. Always make sure that you can even leave your business for a week or for a month. I know some people who cannot even leave their businesses for 3 months because they are worried that when they come back, the business they meet would not be what they initially thought it was, you know. And so some of these things would help to make sure that you can sit in different locations and still manage a business that is running on its own without you having to tell people what to do, where to do it, and how to go about it.
Hmm, interesting. That's an excellent point.
Yes.
So, Zobo or Zobolo or ginger pineapple drink.
Sobolo.
Zobolo, for those who don't know, is the hibiscus. It's made from hibiscus leaves. So the
Okay.
options here are I said zobo, which some people might call zobolo, or some people might call it
Yes.
sorrel, or the ginger pineapple drink. Which one would you prefer?
Oh, okay, okay. I had Zobo, Sobolo, and pineapple drink. So I think then Zobo is my option.
I would say that I've had like the best ginger pineapple drinks in Ghana. The best pineapples I've had have been in Ghana. Okay,
Yeah.
listen to a podcast or read a hard copy book.
Listen to a podcast.
Any reason why?
I mean, I know that definitely reading would help to some extent, but I have this thing with focus. I can focus for 10 minutes and then the next 10 minutes I'm doing something else. And so at least with podcasts, I'm able to follow through and able to finish actually what I start. So yeah,
Favor or hard work,
hard work.
and not favor.
I mean, hard work can result in favor. So favor can't result in hard work.
So favor in the eyes of somebody who opens up the doors for you.
I think I'll still choose hard work.
Okay. All right. Motivation or passion.
Hmm. Now I'm confused about the two.
So even thinking of yourself as a painter, a creative, you might be passionate about painting, but are you always motivated to execute?
Okay, then I think motivation.
I hope in no way am I biasing your responses, but I was just trying to give you context. All right. Kindness or generosity?
Kindness.
I see. Um, let's see. Let me one last one. Kumasi or Accra?
Accra.
This has been wonderful. I've learned that makeup artist who cooks food and who plays instruments and sings in church, is running a logistics and warehousing outfit. Commendable. I wish you all the best, and hopefully you'll come back at some point and we'll have this chat when you have expanded into the other regions of Africa. I can
Yeah.
only imagine big and better for you. So it
Amen.
was
Thank
wonderful speaking with you, and you have a good one.
thank
Bye,
you. You
everyone.
too.